Most people who practice intermittent fasting believe they start burning fat as soon as their eating window ends. In reality, for many adults, eating a standard diet, the body can run almost entirely on stored liver glycogen for 12 to 18 hours, sometimes longer, explaining why fat burning often does not begin when people expect it to. During this period, insulin levels may remain high enough to limit fat release, while the liver continues supplying glucose to keep blood sugar stable. As a result, fasting done this way often leads to fatigue, brain fog, irritability, and strong hunger, rather than increased fat loss. When this pattern is repeated over time, the body does not become more efficient at burning fat, but instead stays metabolically dependent on glucose, making fasting feel increasingly difficult. Over time, this kind of fasting doesn't just feel uncomfortable, it quietly disrupts metabolic balance and increases physiological stress. Clinically, this shows up as elevated cortisol, unstable insulin signaling, and reduced metabolic flexibility, long before any diagnosis appears. It's not a crash, but a slow drift, where the body stays stuck using sugar even while calories are restricted. People often notice this as persistent fatigue, poor focus, mood changes, and worsening cravings, instead of the clarity they expected. In the next few minutes, you'll see what actually changes in the body when this pattern stops, and what the first days of fasting correctly tend to feel like. Let me save you a lot of frustration. Fasting does not fail because you lack discipline. Fasting fails when your setup keeps your body stuck in sugar burning and stress mode. Think of fasting as a fuel switch controlled by signals, not by your watch. Hours 0 to 6 after your last meal, your body is still doing paperwork. You are digesting, storing, and sorting them. Your liver packs glucose away as glycogen, and insulin can stay elevated enough to keep fat release on a short leash. If your last meal was heavy on refined starch or dessert, you start the fast with a fuller glycogen tank and a longer insulin afterglow. So the easiest way to improve tomorrow's fast is to improve tonight's meal. Eat a little earlier, build the plate around protein and fiber, and keep ultra-processed carbohydrates out of the late-night slot. Try 2 nights of earlier, cleaner dinners and notice how the next fast feels. Hour 6 to 12, your liver becomes the night shift manager, drip-feeding glucose from glycogen to keep blood sugar steady. Hunger often shows up on a schedule because your brain is a habit machine with excellent alarms and terrible timing. This is where people fast the wrong way by adding chaos, short sleep, a big coffee, and a high-intensity workout before their nervous system is ready. Cortisol naturally rises after waking, often peaking about 30 to 45 minutes later. So stacking stimulants and stress can keep your body clinging to glucose. Keep the morning boring, water, light movement, and a calmer workout later, and the fast gets dramatically easier. Hour 12 to 18 is the transition zone, not a magic portal. Insulin generally trends down, more fatty acids can be released, and ketone bodies begin to appear. But clinically, after an overnight length fast, beta-hydroxybutyrate, the main blood ketone, usually stays below about 0.4 millimoles per liter, so do not expect instant ketone clarity at hour 16. Judge progress by stability, fewer cravings and fewer crashes, not a dramatic sensation. Hour 18 to 24, liver glycogen can become much more limited, and that pushes the body to rely more on making new glucose and increasing fat-digested fuels. In a controlled 60-hour fasting study, fat oxidation rose progressively as fasting continued, while carbohydrate oxidation fell toward minimal levels. Translation, longer fasts can shift the fuel mix, but you cannot outfast a nightly eating window that refills glycogen and keeps insulin elevated for hours. The eating window decides whether the next fast starts at hour 1 or hour 12. Quick pause. If this is connecting dots for you, subscribe. Most fasting content is either hype or shame. I would rather give you the why so you can fix the pattern without hating your mornings. Day 2, 24 to 48 hours. This is where fasting the wrong way starts to feel personal. If you break every fast with a pastry, a sweetened drink, or a giant refined carbohydrate meal, you trigger a bigger insulin swing and you teach your brain that fasting ends with fireworks. Then hunger shows up earlier next time because it expects a reward. Sleep makes this worse. A systematic review and meta-analysis of sleep restriction studies found reduced insulin sensitivity, and other research shows sleep loss can amplify reward-driven eating and food cravings. If your fasting plan ignores sleep, it is not a plan, it is a stress ritual. Day 3, 48 to 72 hours for many people, hunger waves become less frequent and energy steadies because the body gets better at using fat and ketone bodies when needed. But the wrong way can still sabotage you. High stress plus intense training plus poor sleep is like trying to remodel your house during an earthquake. You might make progress, but you will be miserable and you will probably break something. Calm is a strategy. Repeatable fasting beats heroic fasting. Here is what the right way usually feels like in real life: less drama. The fast feels quieter. You are not thinking about food every 10 minutes. And when you do get hungry, it feels like a normal signal, not an emergency siren. Break the fast with a balanced meal: protein, fiber, and a reasonable portion of carbohydrates, so you do not spike and crash. Also, stop treating coffee as breakfast and breakfast as an obstacle course. Coffee can be fine, but it is not a personality. Weeks 2 to 5 is where consistency changes the baseline. You become more metabolically flexible, meaning your body can switch fuels without turning you into a snack-seeking missile before lunch. Timing can help too. In a randomized trial of early time-restricted feeding in men with prediabetes, eating earlier in the day improved insulin sensitivity, blood pressure, oxidative stress, and appetite measures even without weight loss. That is a big clue. You are not just eating less, you are changing the signal environment your metabolism adapts to. One more quick check-in. If you want science-based explanations that are actually usable, this channel is for you. Next, I will show the 3 biggest eating window mistakes that make people think fasting does not work, even when their fasting hours look perfect. So what happens to your body when you fast the wrong way? You stay dependent on glucose longer than you expect, stress chemistry gets louder, cravings sharpen, and fasting gets harder over time. Fast the right way and it flips. Smoother transitions, steadier energy, and fat burning that shows up as a normal backup plan, not a rare event. If you have diabetes, are pregnant, have a history of eating disorders, or take medicines that affect blood sugar, talk with a clinician before making big changes. When you fast the wrong way, your body doesn't burn fat faster. It protects itself by keeping glucose available, raising stress signals, and turning hunger up. That can mean brain fog, irritability, energy crashes, and cravings that hit harder the longer you repeat the pattern. Over time, the fast stops feeling clean and starts feeling like a daily fight. But the fix is not extreme fasting. It takes better signals. Start tonight by tightening the eating window with a balanced last meal: protein, fiber, and fewer ultra-processed carbohydrates. Then support the fast with sleep, hydration, and a calmer training plan. Try this for 7 days and pay attention to what changes: cravings, mood, and energy stability. If you want the simple step-by-step routine like this video, subscribe and stay for the next episode. And drop a comment with your current fasting schedule, because the wrong way is usually one small habit you can change quickly.